Hey everybody, and welcome to the 5 Bytes podcast. I'm your host, Rory Monahan. The story from last week that didn't actually feature in the episode was that VMware released vRealize Ops 6.7. Well, this week saw a big release. The vSphere Suite 6.7 is now generally available, with many great enhancements and new features. So for example, the vCSA or vCenter appliance will now deliver phenomenal performance improvements when compared with the current vSphere 6.5. It boasts 2 times faster performance in vCenter operations per second, a 3-time reduction in memory usage. It's 3 times faster with DRS-related operations, so for example, powering on virtual machines. And this enhanced performance can greatly benefit your VDI, scale-out apps, big data, HPC, DevOps, distributed cloud-native apps, or any type of project you may be working on or have in the work to come. vSphere 6.7 also improves efficiency at scale when updating your ESXi hosts. You no longer need multiple reboots, it's reduced down to a single reboot. In addition to that, vSphere Quick Boot is a new innovation that restarts the ESXi hypervisor without rebooting the physical host, skipping the time-consuming hardware initialization process. The HTML5 based web vSphere client, which has mixed reviews and responses from those in the community, includes added functionality to support not only the typical workflows customers need, but also other key functionality like managing NSX, vSAN, VUM, as well as third-party components. Now that's with an asterisk at the moment. If you're downloading vSphere 6.7 and you're running NSX-V, there are no compatible versions at present, so you may need to hold off on your install of 6.7. Another interesting feature in vSphere 6.7 is the added support for Trusted Platform Module 2.0, which is TPM. That's the hardware device, and there's also the introduction of a virtual TPM version 2.0, which is pretty interesting and has some interesting plays in the security space. vSphere 6.7 in relation, VM encryption is further enhanced and more operationally simple to manage too. Unfortunately, at the time of this podcast, there hasn't been a release of an updated Power CLI quite yet. There is also added support for a suspend and resume with NVIDIA Grid vGPU based VMs. So you may remember this allows for far more flexibility when using GPU backed VMs. In other news, it appears there may be a new variant of the Satan ransomware, which has been around since about 2017. It drops EXEs into a folder in C program data on a user's machine, and as you may expect, when the executables run, they begin to encrypt the files on the machine and spread across the network. Once infected, a message pops up demanding like 0.3 of a Bitcoin. There's a really great blog post detailing the recent changes in this ransomware, showing a new list of file and folder exclusions. This ransomware is a product of Eternal Blue, which was also at the heart of WannaCry. It appears the developers of this strain have been working on continuously evolving it, making it even more of a threat. The suggestions for prevention are enable UAC, enable Windows updates and let it install updates for you, install an antivirus if you don't already have that. I mean, that's maybe more applicable to home users, not enterprise. And also, of course, create backups and regularly test them. In an interesting turn of events this week, it looks like Microsoft have deprecated folder redirection of AppData in the recent Windows 10 version 18.04. This week, Citrix released Cumulative Update 2 for 7.15. There is, of course, the usual release notes, which include a large amount of fixes. The most interesting to me in my current place of work, I noticed that there's a fix for Director, and it seems to be fixing an over-reporting of client connection failures for a single user. But there's also many fixes for things like the Workstation OS VDA and obviously the Server OS VDA too. So you're going to want to check that out. Congratulations to Claudio Rodriguez and Free Burson on the release of their new book, RDS, A Complete Guide, which is available right now on Amazon. Claudio is a very active member of the community, so undoubtedly, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know him. So you may want to go out there and buy this book because he really is an authority when it comes to RDS. And on the topic of RDS, something which I don't think I mentioned in a previous episode, but at the end of March, Microsoft released a public preview of an HTML5 remote desktop web client. You can check that out today with the release of Windows Admin Center. It looks like this remote desktop web client is also available as a feature within the Windows Admin Center dashboard itself. And now for this episode's hot job. This week is one that may not be applicable to most of the listeners, but may suit somebody you know, particularly if you're in like a leader or mentorship type of role. This is a sales development internship with a Nutanix, and the applicant must be fluent in Dutch and English and working on completing a degree currently. The work will include generating leads through phone and email, accountable for growing existing business relationships and acquiring new business, assisting with digital marketing, data cleanup, and helping the team to follow up on sales leads, and attend industry events and help drive traffic to these events, and opportunities to visit business partners as well. And now for this week's scripts, tricks, and tips. So first, I'd like to mention the great Tim Mangan has released an update to his excellent free community tool, AppVManage. If you haven't used this tool before, it's perfect for quickly and easily testing your sequenced applications on a client machine without the need to deploy via the AppV Management Console, SCCM, or even by using the PowerShell commandlets doing it manually. This tool does all that heavy lifting for you, so check that out today. And as always, I'm going to include links on the YouTube description for this episode, as well as on rorymond.com. One other tip, a special mention here to the fact that it's Mental Health Awareness Week. If you have friends, it's worth asking them seriously how they are doing. Many put on a brave face and struggle in silence to themselves. Asking could open a dialogue that they may not have otherwise, and could be life-changing. Also, before I wrap up, a shout out to everybody who attended the great Citrix Masters Retreat in Prescott, Arizona with me this weekend. It was a really awesome event. I can't wait till next year, and I hope to see some of you guys at Synergy too. And that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening as always, and I'll catch you next week.